When did you realize your family's obsession with social media had gone too far? My mom pushed my brother into a dangerous obsession with fitness for online clout, refusing to admit it was destroying him. I had to take drastic steps to make her see the truth. My mom was always chasing the spotlight, convinced she deserved fame just for being herself. By the time I was 9, my older brother Ethan, who was 11, and I were living in a rundown apartment in rural Nevada, scraping by on her erratic gig work. When TikTok exploded with dance challenges and prank videos, Mom saw her chance. She turned our cramped apartment into a makeshift studio, claiming the cameras were for content creation. She started pushing Ethan to bulk up, saying his transformation journey would make him a star. She fed him double portions of protein, heavy meals, and signed him up for intense workouts, even though he was just a kid. By 12, I was a scrawny 4'7" and 100 pounds, while Ethan at 13 was 5'1" and 160 pounds, mostly muscle from Mom's regimen of shakes and gym sessions. Ethan went along with it more than I did. He'd chug pre-workout drinks and scarf down chicken breasts to please her. His videos took off first. Mom filmed him lifting weights in our tiny backyard, doing push-up challenges or accidentally flexing in public. When his first video hit 300,000 views, Mom called him her golden boy and bought him new sneakers. "You're not like your lazy sister, wasting my time," she'd say, her words cutting me, but I felt worse for Ethan. He was becoming a puppet, molded by Mom's dreams of viral fame. His follower count soared, landing him brand deals for fitness supplements. He was basically supporting us, while I refused to join the bull cup trend and stayed a normal, active kid. I tried to get through to Ethan. "I'm done with these shakes," I'd say at dinner, hoping he'd see he could stop too. Or I'd talk about how great it felt to hang out with friends without cameras, but he just stared blankly. By the time he was 16, they'd posted over 800 Fit Bro videos, but the trend was fading. Mom pivoted to her next obsession, perfection. She came home one day raving about cosmetic enhancements, showing off her new Botox. She threw Ethan a glow-up party, not for a birthday, but to celebrate his first protein powder sponsorship. Soon, Ethan was her project: bleached hair, spray tans, even talk of steroids to maintain his edge. At 14, I hadn't felt Mom's affection since the early content days. Desperate for her approval, I agreed to a strict diet and protein shakes. She patted my head but quickly turned back to Ethan, whose millions of followers made me invisible. On the street, girls would ask if I could hook them up with Ethan. Friends I thought I had only wanted cameos in his videos. Ethan wasn't my brother anymore. He'd urge me to get shredded or join his live streams. When I turned 18, I left for college in Boise, Idaho, changed my social media handles, and started fresh. I ate normally, made real friends, and felt free from the constant scrutiny. Years later, checking Ethan's accounts out of habit, I noticed he'd stopped posting. Odd, since he still had millions of followers and adoring comments. Worried but curious, I went home for Christmas. Mom greeted me with a sneer. "Look at you, letting yourself go," she snapped. I brushed past her, used to her jabs. "Ethan, come show your sister your new routine," she called. Then I heard it retching from the bathroom. I rushed in and found Ethan hunched over the sink, forcing himself to vomit. His eyes were vacant, his frame gaunt despite his muscles. I grabbed a towel to wipe his face, tears welling up. He was so light when I helped him stand, like he'd vanish. "Mom says I can't post until I'm ripped again," he mumbled, voice weak. I was furious. Ethan looked like a ghost, cheekbones sharp, arms like sticks. I got him to his room while Mom trailed, ranting about how Ethan had slacked off and needed to get back in the game. His room was a shrine to fitness: protein tubs, workout schedules, a scale tracking every ounce. A whiteboard listed body fat percentages with red excess on unacceptable numbers. Mom kept saying, "The fans miss you, Ethan. We can't let them down," as if strangers online mattered more than her son. I tried talking to Ethan alone, but Mom hovered. When I got a moment, I whispered he needed help. He stared at the floor, muttering about hitting his peak physique. He showed me an old photo from when he was 13, pre-puberty, no muscle definition. He wanted that impossible body back. That night, I called my college friend Lily, a nursing student. She said Ethan needed a doctor immediately. His symptoms screamed malnutrition and possible organ strain. I knew Mom would never agree. Her identity was tied to Ethan's image. Lily suggested documenting everything for legal protection. The next morning, while Ethan showered, I confronted Mom casually. "Ethan looks exhausted. Maybe he needs a break," I said. When I mentioned health risks, she slammed her mug down. "Don't you dare talk about disorders in my house," she hissed. "Ethan's a brand. You're just jealous because you're nothing." I acted. While Mom edited videos, I slipped into Ethan's room and found his phone. Mom controlled all his accounts, posting, replying, even texting his friends. Fans had messaged, worried about his thinning frame, but Mom brushed them off with lies about cutting phases. I photographed the bathroom, the scale, the contracts Mom signed for Ethan's deals. Mom caught me snooping, but bought my excuse about looking for old photos. Before leaving, I slipped Ethan a note with my number, urging him to call anytime. Back in Boise, I couldn't focus. My roommate Nate saw my stress and suggested adult protective services, but Ethan, at 20, wasn't a minor. 3 weeks later at 3 a.m., Ethan texted, "Need help." I called repeatedly, no answer. I drove 5 hours back home, heart racing, calling every 20 minutes. I parked down the road from our apartment at dawn, the place looking sadder than ever, overgrown weeds, empty energy drink cans littering the yard. Ethan's window was dark. I tossed pebbles at it, like we did as kids to talk secretly. His face appeared, pale and startled. He signaled to wait, then slipped out the back, drowning in a baggy sweatshirt. "Mom found protein bars I hid," he whispered. "She locked me in the gym with diuretics and made me run for hours." He'd used Mom's phone to text while she was drunk. This was abuse, not ambition. I begged Ethan to leave with me. He shook his head. "All my earnings are in her accounts. She'll say I'm on drugs and tank my career." Mom had him financially trapped. A noise came from inside, and Ethan darted back, leaving me helpless. I checked into a motel to plan. Nate suggested leaking the truth to Ethan's followers, but Mom controlled his accounts. I researched financial abuse but found little for adults like Ethan. The next day, knowing Mom's Wednesday thrift store routine, I returned. Ethan let me in, nervous. His room was sterile. Dumbbells, fitness trackers, no personal touches. We found his ID and birth certificate in an old backpack. Ethan showed me a notebook logging Mom's rules: 6 daily workouts, 800 calorie days, punishments for gaining weight. She'd forced him to take metabolism boosters to stay lean. I begged him to leave, but he feared Mom's retaliation. Years of control had broken him. We devised a plan. I'd leave notes in a hidden drawer in his desk, and he'd reply. I gave him a prepaid phone, hidden in the backpack. I brought him a burrito, watching him nibble like it was poison. He said Mom taught him hunger was fat leaving the body. For weeks, I shuttled between boys and home. Ethan's notes varied. Some hopeful, like keeping down a meal, others desperate, saying Mom's rages worsened as he failed. Her goals. I saved every dime from my coffee shop job for Ethan's escape. Nate chipped in from his delivery gig. One day, the drawer was empty. No notes, old or new. The prepaid phone didn't answer. Panicked, I knocked on Mom's door. She smirked. "Back to stir trouble," she said. When I asked for Ethan, she said he was prepping for a comeback, and showed a fresh post from his account, a polished photo with a caption about big things coming. I knew Mom faked it. I pushed past her, calling Ethan. She grabbed me, nails biting. "You're ruining his shot," she snarled. I noticed the gym door padlocked. Ignoring her screams, I broke the lock. Ethan was inside, slumped on a treadmill, trembling, surrounded by empty water bottles and supplement packets. I gained a pound. He whispered. I pulled him up. "We're leaving." Mom blocked us, filming. "Look at this drama, fans. My daughter thinks she's saving her brother." I knocked her phone away and dragged Ethan out. He could barely walk. Mom chased, threatening to report her car stolen. Ethan's car, bought with his money. She pounded the hood as I started the engine, screaming Ethan was nothing without her. He flinched at every word. I sped to the hospital. Ethan protested he was fine, but the nurse rushed him in. His pulse was erratic, kidneys struggling from dehydration and starvation. The doctor said another week could have been fatal. I called Ethan's old coach, Mr. Vargas, who suggested a lawyer specializing in exploitation. Nate connected me with a fitness addiction counselor in Reno. Mom arrived at the hospital, playing the worried mom. She tried controlling Ethan's care, calling him delusional. But I'd warned the staff, and they barred her. She caused a scene until security removed her. Ethan stayed hospitalized for 3 weeks. His muscles hid severe malnutrition. His heart was weakened from years of extremes. I stayed when I could, balancing college. The lawyer, Ms. Quinn, uncovered Mom's financial web credit cards in Ethan's name, siphoned sponsorship funds. We filed for financial abuse and fraud. Mom fought back, posting on Ethan's accounts that he was unstable, and I was brainwashing him. She shared old clips, edited to paint me as jealous. Some fans bought it, storming the hospital after a post claiming Ethan was kidnapped. Security moved him to a secure room. The stress triggered a seizure, requiring sedation. Furious, I got Ethan's consent to post a raw video on a new account. In it, he showed his Roman 4, the heart monitor, and spoke shakily about Mom's abuse, starvation diets, forced purging, stolen money. He asked fans for privacy to heal. The video exploded, drowning Mom's lies. Former neighbors and her ex, Greg, shared stories of her manipulation. Brands cut ties, and Mom's followers plummeted. She showed up at the hospital with a lawyer, demanding access, but Ms. Quinn had voided her contracts. Security ejected her again. A neighbor reported Mom trashing the apartment, burning Ethan's old gear. I called the police, who arrested her for vandalism and intoxication. Ethan improved slowly. A dietitian crafted a recovery plan. A therapist helped him unpack Mom's control. We attended joint sessions, addressing how Mom pitted us against each other. Ethan resented my escape. I felt guilty for leaving him. We cried, rebuilding our bond. After a month, Ethan was discharged. Our apartment wasn't an option, so Mr. Vargas offered his guest room. The day Ethan moved in, Mom appeared, drunk, screaming about ungrateful kids. Vargas called the police, who arrested her for violating a restraining order. Watching her taken away, I felt only grief for the mom we never had. Ms. Quinn recovered some of Ethan's money, enough for therapy and a fresh start, though most was gone on mom's surgeries and partying. Ethan quit social media, deleting his accounts despite millions of followers. He said it felt like shedding chains. I visited weekly, watching him regain strength, his smile returning. Mom got 4 years for fraud, abuse, and stalking. The apartment was condemned after unpaid rent. Ethan joined a recovery group and started coaching kids soccer, finding peace in helping others. One night, he showed me a sketchbook of his fitness journey. Not for likes, but for healing. A page read, "Ate without weighing food today." An anonymous email arrived with videos Mom had saved, hidden cameras catching Ethan's private struggles, her coaching him to purge. Ethan, calm but shaken, said, "She always said she was watching. I thought it was in my head." We gave select clips to MS. Quinn, proving years of abuse without exposing Ethan's most vulnerable moments. The police added charges, extending Mom's sentence. A year later, she wrote, claiming rehab and remorse, asking to reconnect. Our therapists advised distance. We didn't reply, focusing on our lives. Ethan studied kinesiology, wanting to guide athletes healthily. I switched to psychology, aiming to support abuse survivors. We moved to Oregon for college, sharing an apartment. Ethan filled his room with sketches. I stacked mine with journals. We adopted a scrappy dog, Scout, from a shelter. A fan emailed Ethan, saying his story helped them escape exploitation. He replied, grateful but firm about his new, private life. At the 2-year mark of Mom's sentencing, Ethan volunteered at a youth gym, teaching balance, not obsession. I interned at a crisis center. We celebrated with Nate and Lily, Ethan unveiling sketches of his recovery. Or real, not Mom's curated lies. On our balcony later, he said he no longer checked for cameras. I admitted I still did sometimes. Do you miss it? I asked. The fame, the followers, I miss feeling important, he said, but that wasn't me, it was her script. You're important to me, I said. The real you. He grinned, petting Scout, and you to me, thanks for pulling me out. We sat quietly, siblings again, free from Mom's lens. Ethan cooked breakfast the next morning, real food, no scales. What? He asked, catching my stare. Just glad you're you, I said. He smiled, eyes bright, getting there, we both are. One step at a time, we were building lives that were ours, scarred but true.